Solar Scar is a new legendary sword put into Destiny 2 in Season of the Chosen, and this one is exclusive to Trials of Osiris. This one is another caster frame sword similar to Temptation's Hook, although this time it's solar. Well, today I'm going to have a look at the sword, the stats, the perks, the god rolls to chase, as well as how to get Solar Scar. And if you're new around here or found this useful, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below for all the latest Destiny 2 content and turn on notifications by hitting that bell. Solar Scar is a legendary power solar sword. It's a caster frame, meaning you can launch heavy projectile attacks, and heavy attacks are stronger with full energy. Looking at the stats on the sword, we've got a swing speed of 46, it's got 60 for impact, 60 for defense, 32 for charge rate, and an ammo capacity of 60. So when we compare this to Temptation's Hook, which is another caster frame but in the arc element, Solar Scar has the same swing speed at 46, better impact with plus 14 but a slower charge time. And this sword is going to be great if you're into creating solar builds, which we're going to do later on. Well, next up, let's have a look at Solar Scar god rolls to chase. So Tireless Blade and On Guard is a good roll to look out for. One of the most interesting features on this sword is it can roll with chain reaction. So this is where each final blow with the weapon creates elemental damage explosions, and I think this is the only sword that can have chain reaction roll on it, which makes it potentially explosive for those solar builds. Now, popular rolls out there include Tireless Blade and chain reaction, and also Relentless Strikes and Vorpal Weapon, and I was super lucky. I got one to drop for me with chain reaction on my first drop of Trials of Osiris this weekend, and hopefully I'm going to be sending out that good RNG to you too. Well, next up, let's check out how to get Solar Scar, and to get this one you do have to run some Trials of Osiris. So this is an exclusive weapon to that PvP playlist, and the weapons do rotate each week, and I do a video each Friday letting you know the loot and the weapons available each week, so do subscribe and hit that notifications bell to never miss a Trials of Osiris update. And at the time of making this video, it is available at the 3-win reward and is therefore in the Trials engram. So this is the easiest time in this sword's history to get it. So if you are watching this video when it came out, then I would jump into Trials and try and get it, because the Trials engram is really easy to get. So the Trials engram is part of the weekly bounties for Trials, so if you don't like Trials or PvP, then this is an easy way to get Trials loot each and every week. Well, next up, let's have a look at a build for this sword in PvE. So this one is a solar focused flaming sword build centered around Solar Scar and is great for PvE content. I'm going to be using a Titan build, but you could swap this out for the class of your choice. So first of all, let's have a look at the exotic armor, and for this build I'm using Phoenix Cradle, which is an exotic Titan leg armor. And looking at the perks, we've got Beacons of Empowerment, so Sun Warrior lasts twice as long, and allies who pass through your sunspots are granted Sun Warrior. So one of the main focuses of the build is Sun Warrior, and I'll get into what that does in a minute, but Beacons of Empowerment is really good, as we're going to get Sun Warrior for twice as long compared to when we don't have this exotic. Also, your teammates are going to be getting Sun Warrior 2, which is going to help the overall damage output for your fire team. So looking at the subclass, I'm using Code of the Siegebreaker, which is Bottom Tree Sunbreaker. So let's have a look at the perks on this one. We've got Mortar Blast, so strike an enemy with a melee ability to release a solar explosion, setting nearby enemies on fire. We've also got Soul Invictus, where solar ability kills restore your health, melee ability and Sun Warrior kill leave a deadly sunspot in their wake. We've got the all-important one, Sun Warrior, so passing through a sunspot causes your grenade and melee abilities to recharge faster and your super to last longer, and it also increases all the damage that you do. And finally, we've got Endless Siege, so hammers create sunspots on impact. While standing in sunspots, you throw hammers faster. So Soul Invictus allows us to generate sunspots with a grenade, melee and Sun Warrior kills, and Sun Warrior is great. It's going to help you regenerate your grenade and melee abilities, and our super is going to last longer too, so it's really good, as we're going to be getting more grenades and more melee, then it's likely to create more sunspots. As well as recharging abilities faster, Sun Warrior increases your damage output for the whole team, and paired with Phoenix Cradle, you also empower your teammates, so you are going to be the fire team MVP in this build, and the more sunspots we create, then the more we're going to improve the damage output for the whole fire team, so it's really good. Sun Warrior gives you about a 20% damage increase to all weapons, plus it's better than a Well of Radiance as you can move around. You know, pair that with giving this buff to your fire team, then you are going to be the MVP of any strike or nightfall or seasonal activity like Battlegrounds. Next up, let's have a look at the weapons. So the focus of the build is Sola's Scar, the new legendary sword that we've got, but I am going to be backing that up with some powerful kinetic and energy weapons too. So first of all, Extraordinary Rendition in the kinetic slot, and then Jotun in the energy slot. And Jotun is probably my new favourite exotic. And looking at the perks, we've got Charged Shot, so you hold down the trigger to charge up a tracking shot that explodes and burns on impact. And this is going to work really, really well with the solar theme of the build. And then finally, I'm using Solar Scar, which we've heard a lot about already today. Well, next up, let's have a look at the mods that's going to make this build even better. So I'm using a combination of some of the combat mods here, so Charge with Light and Elemental Well. So first of all, I'm using Elemental Charge, so I want to become Charged with Light, and you do that by picking up an Elemental Well. And if the Elemental Well's element type matches your subclass element, you gain 2 stacks of Charge with Light. And I'll go into what I'm going to be using that Charge with Light a little bit later on. Next up, I'm using Elemental Ordnance, so defeating a combatant with a grenade spawns an Elemental Well that matches a subclass energy type, and it is best to use Vortex, Thermite, or Pulse Grenades to get the most out of this mod. So what I'm going to be doing is creating Elemental Wells with my grenades, and then using those Elemental Wells, we're using Font of Wisdom, so you pick up an Elemental Well that matches a subclass energy type, and it grants you a temporary significant increase to your intellect, improving the recharge rate of your super. It gives you a plus 50 intellect boost for 30 seconds, so it's going to boost your super regeneration absolutely significantly. And finally, we're using Lucent Blade, so while Charged with Light, dealing damage with the sword gives you bonus sword damage for 5 seconds, consuming 1 stack of Charge with Light. And it's good because we're using Elemental Charge, and we're using a solar subclass and creating the Elemental Wells with solar weapons, so you are going to get 2 stacks of Charge with Light, so you can use Lucent Blade much more often. We'll check out the build for Solar Scar in PvE, and this is great for solar builds, whether you're a hunter, a warlock or a titan. I do think the main aspect of the build here is Solar Scar, a solar subclass and Lucent Blade, and you also want to be using those Elemental Well mods. If you've got some good luck and get Chain Reaction on Solar Scar, then that's great, as the elemental explosions are going to cause much more damage. Well, let me know what you think of Solar Scar, and also, if you've made any builds with a weapon, share them in the comments with the community. Well, that is it for this guide on how to get Solar Scar in Destiny 2, and as always, thank you so much for watching. For more Destiny 2 content like this, hit that subscribe button down below and subscribe to This Week in Video Games. If you want to join the community, check out the Discord link in the description, or you can follow me on Twitter at TWIVG Podcast. If you enjoyed this video and found it useful, liking and sharing the video would really help me out. Otherwise, check out the other videos on the channel. Thanks again. See you soon.